Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Hey, Crime Curious listeners. We have a correction to make before you listen to this episode. The victim's name here is Kirsty Maxwell. At the time of recording, Charnell's dyslexia got the best of her, and I believe we referred to her as Kirsty. So just make note of the correction that her name is Kirsty. Thank you. Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
And I'm Megan.
And let's shake our gree-gree, Megan. You got to get your bones.
Thank you. I'm all out of sorts.
I know. It's scheduling this week.
It is. It's a mixture of back to school and everybody in the world is committing crimes, and I haven't been leaving work until 6. So it's...
And I started a new position, so I haven't been leaving work until 6. Right. And it's just been... It's been a situation. Plus, kids and Labor Day.
Life.
Here in America, we celebrated Labor Day.
We did.
So, here we go. I have a case for us that I'm going to be transparent. So this was a recommendation. Don't have permission. They specifically asked me not to use their name, so I won't. You know who you are. But I discovered that the family actually put together a really wonderful website. And so a lot of the information that I have is from the website as well, which you guys are welcome to check out. This is the mysterious death of Kirsty Maxwell.
Okay.
There's been some documentaries about it on MTV. Actually even did one that caused a bit of a stir where people were like, wow, I can't believe how this went down. And I know that her family is still calling for justice. They're calling for some law changes specifically because... This is a situation where a young gal dies.
You don't want to say is murdered. Has a mysterious death.
Mysterious death while abroad. Okay, she is traveling, and
is she
Judge
studying
Megan.
abroad,
Nope,
or is she?
She was on vacation.
Okay.
She was on vacation. This is the mysterious death of Kirsty Maxwell. Did I say that already?
You did,
I'm
but
sorry.
you can say it again.
Yes, just to reiterate it again.
Mostly because I'm brainstorming now as to whether or not I've heard of this.
I bet you have.
These cases always make me nervous because I like to travel, and I don't want that to be my end game.
And she was just on holiday.
I know.
With friends, but it has complicated the investigation. It's complicated the communication between investigators and her family, and they just want answers.
Right.
And so here we are doing our very small part to try to continue to raise awareness for Kirsty's family. Let me start off with a little bit about her. She attended school in Livingston, and after gaining educational qualifications, she worked in various office roles while landing a position with Lloyd's Banking Group, where she was held in very high regard by her colleagues and peers. And I apologize because I forgot to tell you that Kirsty lived in Scotland. But that is not where the death takes place.
Okay.
So
when you say Livingston, that's in Scotland?
Yep. She actually was from Livingston, West Lothian, and ended up not returning from her vacation in Spain. So just to give you some context here.
Okay. So lives in Scotland, is supposed to be on holiday in Spain.
Yep. Now, Kirsty had known Adam Maxwell for 10 years before she married him in September 2016. They were described as being a blissfully happy couple, and the marriage basically just cemented their love for each other. Adam and Kirsty were both family-oriented people. They were very close with their siblings, their parents. They were in the process of buying a new home and planning to start their own family. Okay. But unfortunately, Megan, Kirsty and Adam wouldn't even be able to celebrate their first wedding anniversary before her life was tragically taken in a very unexplained and brutal, cruel way.
So he wasn't with her on holiday.
He was not. No.
Was this a girls' trip?
It was. Yep. Actually, on April 28th, 2017, Kirsty and 19 friends traveled to Benidorm, Spain.
19 of your closest friends?
19 of her closest friends. Don't even know 19
trip
people.
for 20. Yeah, I go through my travel agent. They're people from our town. Like
Absolutely. We've ended
friends
up on the same trip like that before.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, what was described as a hen weekend, which I wanted to both chuckle at and cringe at.
That's what they call it.
It is.
In England, they call it like what, stag night for a male bachelor party and like something hens for the woman's bachelorette
Here in
party.
America, being called a hen's a little cringy.
Well,
but
gives notion
it's a different
to
connotation.
being peckish in some way, shape,
That's
or form.
Right. So Kirsty and 19 of her friends were in Spain for a girls' weekend before one of her friends' upcoming weddings. So I get the impression it was a bachelorette party weekend.
A hen party.
Yes, yep. Benidorm is a coastal town along the Mediterranean Sea, which is about 86 miles south of Valencia. The community offers a variety of attractions that cater to individuals, couples, and families, and is widely known for its beaches and nightlife. It looks like a very beautiful place, I will say that.
It's on my bucket list.
Now, we know that the group checked into My Pretty Pema Apartments, also known as Apartamentos Pema, at 9:15 p.m. Kirsty and at least 2 friends roomed together in apartment 9A on the 9th floor. The entire group dropped off their luggage and went out for food and drinks that night in the English Quarter of Benidorm. So just picture this situation. Bachelorette party. They get there, they drop their luggage, and then they go out for a normal night on the town.
They're going to have dinner and start hitting up some bars.
Yes. It's 19 pretty girls.
That's right.
And
what else are you going to do? You're not going to sit in a hotel room.
That's right. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but Kirsty is gorgeous. Ugh. So Kirsty and 2 friends we know returned back to the apartment. We know this because of CCTV footage. It captured them waiting for the elevator at 5:35 a.m. on April 29th, 2017. Okay. The timestamp on the footage was an hour behind, so it showed 4:35 a.m., but the apartment complex acknowledged that it was just off by an hour. So it really was 5:35 a.m. that they were back from their whole night, which makes sense because they didn't even get in until 9:30, and so, and they're young.
Right.
They're not like us, Megan. They can stay up all night and have drinks and chats. So there's a brown-haired girl that you can see in the video, and sorry that we're an audio-only platform, but you can look it up. It is widely searchable. So there's a brown-haired girl. She thought that she heard some of her friends outside the room returning to their apartments, and she took the elevator down to the lobby. So you see her step out, look to her left, then look to her right, and just get back into the elevator. Okay. At 6:50 a.m., Kirsty was actually sleeping with one of her friends, and we know this because that friend took a video of her snoring in the apartment.
That's funny.
And
I would do that.
Oh, she was sawing logs, like completely asleep. That is 6:50 a.m. A short while later, for reasons that we do not know, and this is why we're covering this case, although there's not a ton of information, we know that Kirsty awoke in that apartment that she was sharing with her friends because there is video footage at 6:50 a.m. She left the apartment, taking the elevator to the 10th floor. Her family believes that she returned to her room after that, but it was locked, so she went looking for another friend from her 19-member party in an apartment 1 floor above hers. Okay, so her family is hypothesizing that, for some reason, she left and she was looking for another
person that she had traveled with.
In the group's apartment. And possibly came back to her apartment and it was locked.
Okay,
So,
she locked herself out,
Yes,
potentially.
very possible by what how investigators made it sound. These apartments automatically lock.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
the doors automatically
Been
lock.
in one of those.
Yes.
I rented one when I lived in D.C.
Oh,
and I had
yeah.
I locked
Locked
myself
yourself
out
out?
a number of times.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And if everybody else in the apartment's asleep, then they're not hearing her.
Right.
So then she went back up, they think. Again, it's only theory at this point in time, but they think that she went back up and tried to essentially find other members of her party and knock on those doors.
Right. Somebody wake up.
Yep.
Help me. Let me in.
But this is where we don't know. This is where it gets really bizarre.
Because the last time she was seen was when she was snoring and her friend videotaped her.
By video. Yes, that's the last time that we see her alive and
Okay.
that anybody sees her alive that
All right.
came forward. At 7:50 a.m., so 1 hour after she was filmed snoring, Kirsty fell to her death from the balcony of apartment 10E. Yeah. And this apartment was occupied by 5 British men from Nottinghamshire, England. Her body was found alongside the resort's swimming pool. So she's 10 stories up.
I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have all kinds of things I'm speculating now.
Yeah, let me give
It's
you some
okay.
more detail. Right. According to the Curry family website, quote, expert analysis showed she was facing inwards towards the apartment, but how she fell from the balcony at a closed-off corridor of the apartment can only be answered by witnesses and those that were present, end quote. So we know that she was on the balcony and the balcony door was closed. Okay.
And the
Do
only
you
way
see what I'm saying?
the only way to get to that balcony would have been through the room.
Through the room,
Like there wasn't some other way to get access to it.
correct.
Because, I'm thinking, did she gain access to a balcony because she was trying to play Frogger and get
Right.
herself over to her own balcony since
Yep.
she was locked out? But no. So then she is on the balcony of these men's apartment, which
Yep.
she would have had to get into.
Yes.
And the inside door leading to their balcony is shut
Is shut.
and locked.
And it is shut.
Okay, we don't know about locked.
locked, but it
But
is
it's shut.
shut. And she fell facing the apartments. Mm-hmm.
Like backwards?
Yes, essentially.
Okay.
The Spanish police initially treated Kirsty's death as a homicide. That's how it was first ruled. The 5 men who have since been dubbed the Benidorm Five in room 10E were Anthony Holhouse, who was 34, Callum Northridge, 29, Daniel Bailey, 32, Joseph Graham, 32, and Ricky Gammon, 31. Now, just having them be in the apartment doesn't make them, guilty or anything. I just want to throw that out there because
Makes
no one
them
has been charged.
Persons of interest like anybody else would be.
Correct. Yep. So police actually arrested Joseph Graham on suspicion of murder on the day of Kirsty's death, but released him 2 days later without charge. Spanish judge Ana Isabel Garcia Galvez attempted to establish what happened to Kirsty at a court hearing and questioned the other 4 men that hadn't been arrested. Graham denied any wrongdoing in Kirsty's death and claimed that she entered the men's room around 8 a.m. in a confused state before moving to the balcony. Gammon, told investigators that he, Mr. Bailey, and Mr. Graham were drinking in the apartment's living room while the other 2, Mr. Holhouse and Northridge, were sleeping. So it's 8 a.m. and they're drinking.
Okay. Like maybe they never stopped.
Possible.
Or
yeah.
they got up to have a toddy with a bagel.
Maybe a little morning cap.
Right.
Is that a thing?
It is now.
Okay. We're making it a thing.
It is a thing.
So they say that Kirsty knocked on the door and Mr. Graham answered. He claimed that Kirsty went straight to the bathroom, very upset, and attempted to climb out a small interior window overlooking the kitchen area. Mr. Graham told police that he thought Kirsty was a woman who had been with one of his friends in another apartment and she could not get back in without a key.
Okay, so he had friends in a different apartment too.
Exactly.
And he thought
Yep,
maybe
just like the
she was
girls
one
did.
of their dates.
Yep. Mr. Gammon said that Kirsty appeared as if she had taken some drug. However, no drugs were found in her system, only alcohol.
I was just going to say, is it possible she was highly intoxicated still, or at least, I mean, she'd been asleep, she'd been snoring, they had videoed her. I don't know what her state was when she fell asleep. Was she super drunk?
I think it's reasonable to assume, I mean, we know there's alcohol in their system. They were out till 5:35. Now, I'll say this, on the video, when they're walking into the elevator, no one's stumbling.
Okay.
No one's obliterated
that
way.
That is not fall down drunk then.
Nope. No one's fall down drunk. And so an hour, it was 5:35 a.m. She was filmed at 6:50. That's an hour and, 25 minutes of sleeping. A little bit less than that when you think of the time it takes you to get into your apartment, get settled in, all that. So she'd probably been sleeping roughly an hour before she then woke up, was apparently disoriented because for whatever reason at 8 a.m., that's 6:50. Yeah, at 8 a.m. she enters their apartment.
How'd she just walk in their apartment? Was their door unlocked or did she knock and they let her in?
She was knocking.
And they let her in.
Well, and that's what, it says Kirsty knocked on their door and Mr. Graham answered. He had been awake drinking.
Because he thought it was one of the girls in the okay.
Let me tell you a little bit more. Mr. Graham had helped himself to a few bumps. Okay, he had some cocaine. And
as one will. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
I don't.
Apparently
they did.
Okay.
But he had so much that his nose was bleeding heavily.
That's a lot of bumps.
That's a lot of bumps.
Oh, the devil's sugar.
That's a camel bump.
Right.
We've had a camel's hump full of cocaine.
That's so funny. You did enough coke to make a camel's hump bleed?
Yes, that's what happened.
My new favorite saying.
As a matter of fact, police had to take him to a local doctor to see if the blood was related to Kirsty's fall, and that's how they discovered the blood was related to the amount of cocaine that he had snorted into his brain cells.
This is fantastic.
Right.
Well, it doesn't bode well that he's a person who probably is making a rational or competent statement. So this is the person who's saying that she was acting bizarre and acting off, but he's done enough cocaine to kill a camel, and that's where we are.
Exactly. To make his nose red raw and bleed to the point where police have to take him to the doctor. Yeah. But yet she was the one trying to climb. Why was she trying to climb out that kitchen window, Megan?
Well, to get to safety, there's that. Here's the potential. Let me throw out there for anybody who's ever been like annihilated drunk before. Is it possible that she woke up, wandered out of the apartment because she wasn't sure where she was anymore, locks herself out, then she's upset, so she starts knocking on doors. These guys let her in. Then she's so drunk she gets confused, is trying to get away, trying to escape, falls off the balcony. Okay, there's them completely innocent and her just having like the worst fucking night ever possible. If everything bad in the world added all up to her being that annihilated. But I would also expect there to be a really high BAC on her toxicology to come back, like real high.
Yeah.
And then the alternative is that we have this person, this man, at least him, giving an explanation that seems a little bizarre. And now he's just proved to me, based off of his level of consumption of substances, that he's probably not trustworthy either.
Right.
So what about the other people in the apartment?
The other four, remember, they were being questioned in court. Okay.
Right, which is probably a felony preliminary examination to see if there's enough probable cause to keep the what was his name? To keep him in custody on the alleged Mr. Graham in custody on the alleged murder.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other four men actually so they were questioned when they left court. They left without speaking to the media, and they were allowed to return to England.
Okay.
Where they were from. All five of them did later return to Spain voluntarily and exercised their legal right to answer questions through their lawyer. So they are cooperating with this situation. They did refuse to answer questions from Kirsty's family's attorney. So, I mean, I figured that that's probably within their legal right to do so,
and it's not bizarre because their own counsel's probably telling them, don't answer any questions.
But so Mr. Northridge actually released a statement on behalf of not only himself, but also Mr. Bailey, Mr. Gammon, and Mr. Wholehouse, not Mr. Graham. Okay, Mr. Graham, remember, he was arrested.
He's the one who was charged. Yes.
Yep.
They want to stay
he
isolated.
He was the one doing the cocaine. The cocaine.
Double sugar.
Yeah. So he's just going to go ahead and speak for the four of them and let Mr. Graham handle his own self.
Probably a good idea.
Yep. And what his statement was, quote, "This was a tragic accident, and we categorically deny any involvement in this unfortunate incident. It goes without saying that our deepest sympathy goes out to Kirsty's family, and our thoughts are with them all at this terrible time. We have had our names dragged through the mud and used in a derogatory manner throughout this process through no fault of our own," end quote.
That's heartwarming.
Yeah. Yes.
Two of them were allegedly sleeping or in a bedroom when she came in.
Yes, two of them were.
Well, whoever those two are, maybe I feel moderately bad that their names were dragged through the mud.
Because now they're called the bedroom 5
right.
or whatever. You know, I mean, they got...
But presumably there's two other people other than Mr. Graham who was charged who were not in bedrooms and were awake, either drinking,
right.
partaking.
Oh, it's flat out said that they were drinking with
right.
Mr. Graham.
So they were questioned by the jurist, by the judge. I want to know what did they say happened? Did they corroborate Graham? Or will we never know?
At this, there's things being kept. There's things being kept.
Okay.
I'm being very careful.
You are. We have to, because they're presumed innocent.
Exactly. And I really don't want to, as much as we need to get the information out to push that this investigation needs to be looked at again. And laws need to be changed about how we look at jurisdictions for, deaths that happen abroad and things like that. I also like you pointed out, there were two men that were definitely asleep that didn't have, anything to do with this, and they've been wrapped up with whatever possibly happened with these other three.
Sure.
So the other thing is that the men were actually a part of, there was 50 Nottingham men that were staying at the resort, and the Curry family believes that those people might have more information about Kirsty's death because they would have been there and witnessed more, and it's almost just like they're all sticking together.
Yeah. So realistically, if anybody was at that resort in those early morning hours, and 7:30 is not too early to be on your balcony enjoying coffee, that would be me 100%. So were there other people out on their balconies? Did anybody else see anything? Maybe they're willing to come forward.
Well, and the thing is, Megan, is that I think it's like 8:50 is when she falls.
Oh, so it's
this is not even that early in the morning.
No.
And it's just the way that the investigation has been handled is what is so upsetting to the family. There's things that they're not being told, or that they feel that they're not being told, because all of a sudden in 2019, the Spanish police start saying Kirsty's death was an accident. So the men's...
But not based off of new investigation or new information. They just changed it.
They initially started investigating it as a homicide, arrested somebody, and now then they flip it to, oh, nope. It was not. It was a tragic accident.
So what bothers me about that, not to cast judgment, is that there was probable cause to arrest a human being for murder, for homicide. Just because they couldn't prove that to continue with the charges doesn't change that it was a homicide.
Right.
So that's the part that's upsetting. You may not have enough to charge this person or to keep him in custody, and perhaps he didn't do it. And there may never be enough, honestly, in certain cases to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that somebody's guilty, but it doesn't change a homicide to an accident or even to a suicide.
Yes.
So I would be interested in knowing what facts exist that caused them to change this to an accidental death.
Mm-hmm. Well, the men's lawyer, Roberto Sanchez, declared no evidence linked them to Kirsty's death.
Perfect. Again, that's possible, but it doesn't change a homicide to an accident.
Right. He further said, quote, "The investigation had found that Kirsty might have been affected by alcohol consumed during the previous night, with possible effects including blurred vision, loss of balance, and emotional instability," end
Correct.
quote. Kirsty's family has accused the police of failing to investigate properly. And I this is where we land with this case because of exactly what you just said. What evidence came forward that was so compelling that it changed it from an initial homicide to an accident?
Okay. So I can throw out there something, which, I mean, her family may not love, and maybe we don't know, is did they get some toxicology back on her that would indicate that her level of intoxication was so great that she would have contributed to her own demise? Okay.
No. Right.
And that is something that potentially could have changed them from a homicide to an accident, but how did they come up with homicide to begin with then?
Well, right. And
the way that she fell was suspicious. How
Definitely.
she got there was suspicious anyway. I mean, I gave you my opinion of the worst case scenario was that
like
she
if
kind
all
of
the
broke.
bad stars align and she was so drunk and had blurred vision that she ended up one story above where her apartment was and falling out of the balcony.
I mean, right. Was she so drunk that she thought she would, just jump down from her his balcony to down to hers? But if that was the case, wouldn't you be the witnesses inside going, dude, this crazy chick came in here and tried to, Superman herself down to the next balcony saying she was going to get in there. Like, those are things that you would say if they had happened.
Yep. We'll get to some more here.
Okay.
So Kirsty's family is concerned because they believe that the Spanish police did not interview key witnesses. Specifically, Kirsty's friends who traveled with her to Spain, and investigators did not follow significant crime scene protocols and procedures. Furthermore, they did not retain the entire CCTV footage from that morning or other potential evidence like Kirsty's clothing. It was destroyed during the autopsy for whatever reason. They were not, like Kirsty's family said, why didn't Kirsty's clothes why wasn't it given back to her husband? Remember, she's a married woman. It was destroyed.
Okay.
After the autopsy.
I guess I would want to know what that nation's rules are when it comes to evidence preservation, because certain things are destroyed when you're done with them. This I would consider being an open case, so I'm not sure why anything would have been destroyed, period.
Well, that was my wondering, too.
Well, I can tell you it's because they decided to change the cause of death to an accident.
Okay.
And so then they have this evidence that they need to do something with, so they probably have a policy there that they would destroy it. Personal effects here, once you are done with them, are turned over to next of kin.
Yep. The family's website states, quote, the police report and media reporting based on Spanish sources, including briefings and quotes from the family's initial Spanish lawyer, indicate that Kirsty tried to escape the apartment in fear of her life.
Right.
So that is literally what the initial police report and what the initial media reports say.
How long was she in the apartment potentially?
They say, from 8 to 8:50. They say that she arrived at 8, and I believe it was at 8:50 is when her, if I'm remembering right, give me a sec. Let me scroll back up into my, I'm sorry. My apologies. 7:50. She approximately 7:50. But the men say that she arrived in their apartment at 8 a.m. So
she fell to her death at 7:50, and they said she didn't get there till 8. Right. Well, that doesn't work, gentlemen.
It does not, and you can see why Kirsty's family is concerned.
How long was she potentially inside? We don't know.
We don't know. Well, it had to have been less than an hour, Megan, because at 6:50 she was video recorded snoring.
Okay. Well,
and at approximately
what she was doing during that hour is of significant interest. Was she in their apartment that entire hour from 6:50 when she was videotaped snoring to when she fell to her death?
And that's just it. We know she wasn't there that whole hour because what's the time? So she's sleeping, then
she wakes up.
Somehow like, how did she leave?
And
that's the other problem. The Spanish police did not interview key witnesses, including the girls that were with her. So they don't know key information. This is like it's terrible. Okay, so the Currys, Kirsty's family, hired retired detective David Swindle to investigate Kirsty's death. And actually, fun fact, David Swindle helped catch serial killer Peter Tobin.
No kidding?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not pulling your dick. It's true.
Thank you.
In 2020,
Ass first.
the family's legal team tried unsuccessfully to reopen the case, citing many unanswered questions about Kirsty's death. The following year, so 2021, the Currys called for Scotland to implement a coroner's system similar to England and Wales. Scottish families who lost a loved one abroad must do everything alone. In contrast, in England and Wales, a coroner establishes how someone dies once the body is returned home and then holds an inquest.
Yes.
Where the local police officer becomes involved. They do not have this system in Scotland.
Okay.
So Brian Curry told the BBC, if we had the coroner system, we could have had the girls who were with Kirsty interviewed, the men interviewed. We could have had a dedicated senior investigating officer. We could have had a go-to person. They didn't have any of that, Megan, with the Spanish police. Earlier this year, Kirsty's family appealed for a mystery woman to come forward. The Spanish police told them in 2017 that another woman who was with the Benidorm Five, she was one of the key witnesses the Spanish police never interviewed, likely because there was a misunderstanding of where the woman resided, believing her to live overseas. However, she lived in England, yet the Spanish police still have not questioned her.
So those men had a female in their party.
Yes.
Who was either in there or saw something,
Mm-hmm.
and she was just never questioned.
Yep.
And she actually is from England with the rest of
Yes.
those men.
Yep. Through this investigation, their private detective, Detective Swindle there, discovered a middle-aged couple staying at the Hotel Presidente in Benidorm when Kirsty died. Their room overlooked the pool at Kirsty's resort.
That's what I wondered.
They told a housekeeper that they saw a body laying by the pool on the morning of her death. The couple checked out afterwards. Detective Swindle could not locate them, but said the Spanish police also never spoke to them. So, to honor their daughter's memory, Brian and Denise Curry launched the Kirsty Maxwell charity to emotionally and financially support people or families of people who have died abroad. Adam Maxwell, it was Kirsty's husband, and Kirsty's family continue their fight for justice and the truth about Kirsty's death. You can follow them for more information not more information. I got information from
Right.
Facebook too, but please, you're welcome to go to Kirsty Maxwell Information Appeal on Facebook. They have a lot of information on their page, and I wish that I had more to bring you for this, but we just don't. It's just terrible cross-country investigating and trying. I can't imagine being Kirsty's family trying to communicate with the language barrier, with the jurisdiction barrier, trying to find answers and trust that they're doing a thorough investigation, and then to come to find out that they don't, and that these, the men that last saw her alive for sure. I read another account where one of the guys said that she was being violent towards them, so they shot her
out on the balcony. I wondered if she was confused, having woken up, intoxicated, maybe not knowing where you are, and then when she came into the house, if they did that.
Yeah.
Like trapped her?
Very possible. I just don't know why you would trap someone that's acting that way on a balcony where they could potentially fall.
Well, and if you did, no judgment being cast here, but there's some culpability there in terms of some potential negligence.
Right.
And
right.
I'm wondering if the family knows about or has considered potential civil action against the hotel, against the men. Because you may not always be able to sue a municipality or internationally, but you certainly can sue an establishment and sue
Certainly.
people privately, all of the men who were there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they've explored that option, but it sometimes is a way to get more information because there's these things in civil cases called depositions and interrogatories.
Yeah.
And it's a way to get and glean information about what happened. Again, we're dealing, though, with an international and jurisdictional type issues, and I am not an international law or relations specialist. So.
Yeah. And the only reason that I was going to talk about in a minute here, different possible theories, but the only reason I didn't give a direct quote about which guy had actually said that that's what they did, that she had become violent. And so they locked her out there, because I only found it in one source. And so I'm giving you that information. I did not watch the documentary that was released on MTV. I know that they showed the CCTV footage on there, and that Kirsty's family is on there giving their information too. I did just primarily take their information from their website that they have clearly kept up and done. I tried to watch the documentary piece, but there was subscription issues. And so, so I couldn't.
You think you're getting free information, and then it wants you to buy it.
Yep. So I was a little irritated about that. But I do know you can watch the CCTV footage of them arriving back and draw your own conclusions there. But I guess I want to know, I'm confused. I'm confused about if she was so annihilated that she was confused what woke her up to begin with. How do you get out of the apartment? And if you're that disoriented and get up to another story in the apartment complex, get in, it doesn't track for me.
I'm interested in knowing, Charnell, if they've closed this case because they've considered it an accidental death. Where is the toxicology report? Is that something that's discoverable, or like we have FOIA?
Right.
Could somebody, get this information now that they've quote unquote closed the case?
It. Yeah.
So now I want to know. I want a copy of the autopsy. I want the toxicology reports. Let's see which state she was actually in. They already indicated there were no other narcotics in her system.
Right. Yep. We know
simply
that.
Alcohol,
it was only alcohol.
But I don't have a BAC, and I really want a blood alcohol level.
Right. To know. Because I truly think that if she was that annihilated, that short amount of time, her metabolism wouldn't have broken down a vast majority of that alcohol content, right? I mean, we're talking a matter of a couple hours. But also, of course, I guess it depends on her last time that she consumed an alcoholic beverage.
Well, and we need to hear from the women that she was in the room with. Like, there's a video of her snoring away, but did anybody see somebody in there? Hopefully, maybe saw something, like heard her wake up, heard the door shut? Right. Saw her leave? Was there a confrontation in there?
Right. Or were they sleeping? That's the information that I wondered if that was on the MTV documentary. So if you've seen it, cool, let us know.
Right.
I wasn't able to access it. But that's where the family's real problem comes in that the Spanish police didn't interview any of them. They gathered none of that information.
No, they just all went back home.
Right. Well, and at the beginning, they initially were investigating it as a homicide. So something, Megan, in the beginning gave them plenty of information to do that and reason to arrest. And then all of a sudden, we don't. We let him go, and then we change it to accident. So, and I know, not to say that can't happen to innocent people, certainly.
Sure.
But as you were saying,
I prefer to call them not guilty people.
Yes.
Just because you're not guilty doesn't make you innocent. And
okay.
Just because
not
you're
guilty
innocent
by way of the law.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to prove that burdens of proof. We don't call people. I don't like it when people say they were found innocent, because we have never found anybody innocent ever. We have found them not guilty.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Keep it in mind.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, and I wondered too, when you talk in terms of a civil suit, if that was able to be filed and to move forward, then would someone come forward with a little bit more information of possibly throwing somebody else under the bus that they may know a little bit more?
In a wrongful death suit, like any civil suit, you can request of the court that witnesses be subpoenaed, and if they fail to respond, if they don't show up, or if they don't come to the depositions or interrogatories, they can be held in contempt of court. So there are court powers when somebody fails to be cooperative in a civil case.
Right. Yeah, something to think about. And I know that this family is very, very motivated to try to get the correct information.
The other concern is statute of limitations on civil cases, especially, I don't know how it would work internationally. Is there a statute of limitations in Spain for civil? What is it? Right. And this didn't happen that long ago, but it's happened long ago enough that I would start to be concerned about those SOLs.
For sure, because that was 2017.
Yeah.
It was... I know it seems like yesterday to us, but
I guess it's not.
Really
it's 2023.
It is.
So you were at 7 years, and a lot of civil cases like that are 7 years. We've heard that before.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure what that would be.
It's awful because, like you said, is it possible that she was disoriented and had literally all of the juju
the worst
aligned,
chain of events.
the worst chain of events that could have possibly
Sure.
happened? I mean, yeah, I guess we can't rule anything out. Is it possible that she was violent and because she was scared for her life, as they initially indicated, and they locked her out on the balcony against good moral reasoning, and she tragically fell to her death, thinking that maybe she did think she could get down to the next floor balcony. I don't know. Or it's quite possible that she felt threatened and she shut herself out there and tried to, escape.
Right, because although if that was the case, why would you shut yourself on a balcony? Why wouldn't you go out the front door if you were trying to get away from people?
Well,
unless you were being held
right, when
captive.
There's 3 men in there and that was your quickest escape.
Just to get away.
Yeah, 3 men that were awake. There were 5 men in there, but you know.
Well, and again, a call to action from other people that might have been there and on their balconies at this time in the morning having their cup of coffee.
That's just it. It's 7:50 in the morning. The other I'm having coffee at that hour. Granted, maybe not on vacation.
Did anybody see anybody on the balcony with her at some point?
Right.
Was she out there having a conversation, or was somebody attempting to do something to her?
Yep. There has to be more information out there. And the family knows that there is. So
I'm going to ask.
Come forward.
Was there any evidence in the autopsy report of any type of a sexual assault?
Not that was noted. Okay. No,
and again, we don't have everything, but
we
none was noted.
We don't. I don't know that the family has everything.
Probably not.
Honestly.
And there's no evidence that we're aware of a physical assault either, or just the trauma from the fall.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. So
interesting.
That I could find. Yes.
Okay.
So there it is. I know it's short, but cases like this still deserve to be covered, especially when families are just asking for more information for their loved one.
Oh, I agree.
So in switching gears, would y'all like a bath?
I would love a brain bath.
It just started raining outside.
It
if
is.
Y'all can hear that. We're getting this lovely
I enjoy it.
end of summer rain here. And so I have found for you some of the, just to switch gears, I mean big time. We're switching gears big time, just so you guys know. I am going to give you 15 people that revealed the worst thing that someone has ever said to them during sex.
Oh my God. Okay.
You ever had anything terrible? I never have. I don't have any juicy story like that.
I've said some things in a prior life, though not with my current partner.
Sure. In a different life. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I remember her. She was fun.
All right. So after a successful Tinder date, I went back with the guy. We had sex, and afterwards I joked, "Best date ever," to which he replied, "Best last date ever."
Oh, no.
I know. That's not nice. Like, you could have, it could have still been the last date, but all you had to say was, mm-hmm. Like, that was an option, man. You didn't have to be a dick.
Dude, just be quiet.
Now, this, I feel like, is Brain Bath Jason material.
Okay.
He stroked my face, looked me in the eye, and said, "Bloop, bloop, bloop, love bubbles."
Yeah.
Immediately after, he asked if he could put it up my arse.
I bet they're British.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Love bubbles.
Love bubbles.
Can I put it up your arse? Most random sentence that I've ever said in my life.
If you boop me on the nose after you ask for that, chances are you're going to need an ambulance. Boop. Just boop. Love bubbles.
Love bubbles. Yep.
Bizarre.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, the best last date ever.
Yeah, right. Speaking of best last dates. Yep. I was waiting for some sort of like, oh, by the way, we were in the bathtub. Something. No. That's all we got. That's all we got, you guys. Okay, this next one. Apparently, this gentleman, I use that term very loosely, said, "Well, that was shit."
Just about the shag?
Yep.
The shag was shit, huh?
Yep. To which the girl is like, "Listen, not a bad thing, except that all of her dorm mates were in the dorm at the time and heard. So she's never lived it down."
Well, that was shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it takes two, buddy.
And at first I thought maybe this was the guy that was saying, no, it was a dude. I didn't know that they would ever call it shit. I mean, honestly, I thought that most men are just happy to get laid. Perhaps that's an overgeneralization on my part, and I apologize for my ignorance, but any man I've been with has always been happy to get laid.
I think that's just you, Charnell.
Oh, okay.
It's just you. I'm sure men have had bad sexual encounters before where they're like, no, don't think I'd do that again.
Just not sure I've met one.
I thought it'd be better.
I guess I should start taking a poll because I'm not.
Well,
sure.
with women, we're pretty like that was disappointing.
Oh yeah, we've got a scale.
You talked a lot and built that up, buddy.
That's
and
right.
Not what I expected there.
There's all kinds of scales, ratings, measurement. I mean, we've got it all. I just thought for them, they're like, yeah, I mean, I'll take it where I can get it, but that is me being
sexist.
Rude.
It's you being sexist.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
I kid.
We'll forgive
I
you.
know you guys have some standards too. Wow. I do know that.
Most of you.
I'm just going to leave it at.
Oh, we should. Oh, in true Brain Bath Jason style.
Absolutely. Okay. So this other person says, excuse me, this other gentleman says, I can't believe we haven't had sex for 4 weeks. To which she replies, we have twice. You just apparently don't remember.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's bad at counting.
Maybe he's getting dementia. Let's just say that he's bad at counting.
Maybe what they did didn't count as sex to him.
Oh, very possible.
Men have weird definitions.
Oh, this one, I forgot about this one. This isn't a cold read. I actually read this. Yeah, this one would make your ovaries just jump right back up into your mama's stomach. Like,
okay.
This is... All of a sudden, the dude says, sorry, I have to stop. You remind me of my sister.
Oh, no.
And she says, I don't know what was worse. Him thinking that I looked like his sister, or him waiting until I was completely naked to make that announcement.
It could have been
Good
worse.
point.
You could have been having intercourse when he said you reminded him of his sister.
Wait. Right upon entry. Sorry, you remind me of his sister. I made it so much
This feels
worse.
familiar. I've seen this before.
Wait a second.
Never mind.
Oh gosh.
You poor girl.
This one. See, I don't like to be told commands like this. Do you mind not looking at me? I'm trying to concentrate. What?
Oh. He doesn't.
What?
He can't make eye contact when he's having intercourse.
Yep. Guess not.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
For sure.
If you can't look at me in my eyes, we probably aren't
because
going
you're trying to concentrate. You're not thinking about something that you should be thinking about, sir.
Who are you concentrating on?
Or what? What are we really doing in your mind?
Maybe he just has ADHD and he needs like extra time on a test. And so that's how it is for intercourse as well.
Let's go with that one, Megan.
Yeah, I think it's logical.
Here's one that you don't ever want to hear. Don't pull that face. It makes you look like Mr. Bean.
I love Mr. Bean.
He does say in her defense, I do kind of look like Mr. Bean.
Right.
Oh, no. Timed with my thrusts. Don't come in me. Don't come in me. Don't come in me. Come in me.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Those are mixed messages, honey. Mixed messages.
What if her timing was off and she just missed a don't?
Oh, good point. Or he didn't hear mid-thrust the don't. Oh, communication is everything.
He might have thrusted the don't back in and she, right?
Yep.
This is a huge communication issue right here.
It sure is. This is 18 years to life.
This is 18 years to life of spawn from one. I said don't.
You didn't hear my don't. Okay. Well, how about this one? I fell asleep one night. I fell asleep post one night stand, only to be shaken awake. Wake up and sorry, I forgot about this part. Wake up and make me come or fuck off.
Did she say that?
She did. And he said I had no choice. I woke up and I got the job done. Good for you, fella.
I think that is the most interesting response ever, because can you imagine if he said that to her? We'd be having a different conversation.
Absolutely.
There might be police involvement.
Yep.
But because she said it, guys are like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's how I want to get woken up.
That's a very good point.
Let me oblige.
Right. Allow me, madam.
If I get woken up by somebody saying that, you're losing a tooth.
Absolutely. Yep.
Potential black eye.
That's a great point.
Oh, it is a good point.
A girl once asked me why I was being so noisy. That was embarrassing.
Oh, screw her, man. You be as noisy as you want. You do you.
That's right. That's right.
That's how she knows you're enjoying it.
Or this one. Megan, this one. I've honestly never seen balls so tiny.
I mean.
Oh, but do we need to say it out loud? We don't need to say it out loud. We can think it in our head, but we don't let it out loud.
There are lots of things that should stay inside of your head.
Yep.
And
this was probably one of them.
Men also.
Yeah.
No one wants a commentary of their physical appearance while you are engaged in the deed unless it's a nice comment.
Absolutely.
Keep every negative thought to yourself.
You know what? They're
It's for your
small, but
girlfriends
they
later.
pack a punch.
Right.
Yeah, you could, if you
Exactly.
needed to draw attention to how small they were, you could
Right.
have then complimented afterwards.
Right.
Right. Wow, for some tiny balls, they sure do.
I've never done that and not had my ass smacked at the same time. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, there we go. There's several ways. That was the social worker in
They're
us
high and
for
tight.
sure. Yeah, I see that you keep your balls as high and tight as your hair. Well done.
I don't know if you can top that.
Oh no, I don't know if I can.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't even know what to say about this other than into many years of marriage. I get it.
Okay.
Do you mind if I go on top? You're pushing on my stomach and I had a curry earlier.
Yes. No, I think that makes
100%.
perfect sense.
Yep. No, I'm going to be sick. As he said the word sick, his prophecy came true and he was on top.
Nope.
No. And that's how I then become a lesbian. And I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, you can't. If you don't feel good, don't do that.
No. Also, that was
It's
not
okay to tell someone we are not going to have sex today because my stomach hurts.
for sure. For
I've
sure.
said it before.
Me too. And actually,
No, you don't want to do that.
For sure. And Matt and I's response is always twice tomorrow. Like, I owe you one. You know, Taco Bell is hitting a little hard right now. I owe you one tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll do it twice tomorrow. It's fine. It's fine.
We'll do it twice tomorrow.
That's always the famous line when like we've ate too much. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before or not, but we have friends who always have this joke, but I think it's genius that they've been married so long that basically whoever runs up the stairs and gets on the bed first starfishes and they get to be on bottom.
Oh my God,
And
that's
it's like
so
a
funny.
competition. I'm like, oh, that is brilliant. Also, my husband has a heart condition, so I will win every time. He can't run fast or do stairs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Told that story while my 16-year-old walked into the
Yep.
studio.
Watched
so
it
that's
happen.
cool.
I did. I saw kids run by on the deck and I thought we were safe, and then I looked to the right.
And there's one busting into my wallet, apparently getting himself some cash to go to his girlfriend's volleyball game. I rarely have cash. I don't want to be robbed. Do I not have any in there?
Try your American Express. I'm sure they'll take that.
At a high school function.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you ask the other adult in this household for some money? I like how you knew right where to go though for that. Okay, I think on that note, we'll end after traumatizing the 16-year-old. And thank you all so much for listening. And we hope that you enjoyed today's episode.
Keep it curious.
Keep listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.